So Bombing Science has a list on their website which they're calling the top 10 best graffiti markers. So today we're taking a look at that list and seeing if these are true choices that should be on a top 10 graffiti marker list, or if these guys have lost their minds. Now, luckily for all of you guys here on the channel, we have done hundreds of graffiti marker reviews, so it's very likely that any of the products they have on their top 10 list here, I have here with me today, so I can tell you a little bit about them and show you some tags with each of the mops and markers to help you determine if these might be mops and markers you want to try out personally for yourself. And we'll also be giving them a check mark or an X for each of the choices on their list, just to indicate whether it's a choice that makes sense for a top 10 graffiti list or not. Just my opinion, but something for a bit of fun. So let's hop right into this list. So we'll go from number 10 to number 1, and number 10 on the list is the On the Run markers. They're not specifying which ones here, but they are showing the OTR flow pens, and they are talking a little bit about the flow pen ink specifically. So it looks like they're talking about weatherproofness and UV resistance. They do have like a features, a pros and cons bit, but it's very basic, so I'm not going to use that for this one in particular. Now, just because they are touting the UV resistance and the weatherproofness in general, I just want to outline that if you're looking for UV resistance, you don't want to be using an ink in the first place. You want to be using a paint. Now, I'm sure as far as inks go, this flow pen ink is fairly UV resistant, but no ink is ever going to stand up the way a paint does for UV resistance specifically. So if you're looking for UV resistance, use paint, not ink. So they do have that pros and cons list, but instead of that, let me at least show you the OTR markers that I have used. Now, almost 10 years ago, I picked up this old OTR .160. I didn't use it for very long, to be honest, and part of that was because the first time I used it, you can hopefully see in there, the threads had some ink in it and, you know, it just dried out. But that being said, even after all that time, this nib, shouldn't be doing this to your skin, but look, it still writes. And I just wanted to show you that because it outlines a property of ink versus paint a little bit better. When you're using inks, they will not dry out on your nibs nearly as quickly as paints do. So that's nice for storage, especially if you're the type of person like me who has tons of different graffiti supplies just because you love the hell out of them, and you're not using every single one every single week. So a little bit better for storage to be using inks like this. So although these OTR markers wouldn't necessarily be on my top 10, I think the claim is at least reasonable, so we'll give them a check mark for that. Number 9, we have got the Magic Ink glass body markers. Okay. Magic Ink markers are renowned for their vibrant colors and smooth application. These incredible Japanese markers were designed in 1953. Glass body design, oil-based permanent ink, an awesome 8mm chisel tip. I'd call it more like 6, but I suppose 8. Now, we did a full surface tagging test and review with these Magic Ink glass body markers, so you can see that video in the corner, or they're all going to be linked in the description when I mention reviews we've done. But here's what I think of them. They are very comfortable to write in. I love this design, just so you see them with the cap off. Their nibs, I think 8 is a bit of a stretch, but this is a very thick chisel tip. Also, the nib itself, very, very soft, which I really enjoy writing with those softer nibs. I think most people enjoy that as well. That's why you get people that love to fray the nibs up before they start using the markers. These guys already come very soft, so you don't even really need to fray your nib out. And they are very vibrant. They've got like 16 colors or something like that. And they do have, as they're saying here, an oil-based ink. Now, oil-based stuff in general is great stuff. I do have to say this ink in particular is known for fading quite quickly in the sun. That being said, if you're using this kind of in and around sunny environments, black is going to be your best bet. So if you did want to see more details on the actual formula, how they write, you can check that video out again. But as far as this goes, I think they're 2 for 2 so far. This is a great choice for a top 10 graffiti marker list. Moving on to number 8. Oh, I see. Okay. The Dang Flex 15 mops. I'm sure most of you guys know the Dang mops are the Bombing Science brand of mop that they made a couple years ago. I guess this is a good time to tell you guys, this video is not sponsored by Bombing Science. They did not ask me to make it. That being said, obviously this is their list, right? So it is going to be skewed towards product that they can at least sell on their site. Fair play to them. And what do they have to say about this? The dang Flex 15 mop is known for its perfect squeezability and high quality formula. They are very squeezable. I do find that completely true. This thing seriously outcompetes similar mops for about half the price. It comes in paint or ink. Flexible body allows for good squeezability. Definitely true. Affordable price. Cons can be sold out due to popularity. Okay. So, when bombingscience sent me over these Flex 15 mops upon their initial release to do a full honest review and tagging test of, I was super surprised. The first thing I was surprised by was, yeah, this is supposed to be a budget mop, so I didn't expect it to feel super squeezable and nice to work with like it does, and that's been the case for all the Flex 15 mops I've used. I have 4 of them, I believe, and they're just all super comfy. I wouldn't say they're half the price of other markers, but I would bet that they're half the price of Krink mops, like the Krink K60, which is pretty much an identical mop. So let's take a look here. I'm just gonna try and navigate to that. Dang Flex 15 mop, 10.29 Canadian, okay. Get out of here. There we go. Markers, let's go Krink. Krink K60, $21.89. Okay, yeah, so literally half the price of a Krink mop for, I don't want to say an identical product, but yeah. So there's that. But aside from the actual mop body, the other thing that surprised me was the paint formula. Nowadays they have the dang paint as well as the dang ink. If you check out the video where we did our tagging test, you can see just how drippy this paint formula is. I was not ready for it, and most of the colors were super well put together. Subsequently, they sent us over some of their dang ink to try out, and you know what, it was a great surprise as well. It seems very well formulated to me. And yes, it is an alcohol-based ink. But I actually do think these dang mops are a perfectly reasonable option. They'd probably be on my top 10 list as well. So 3 for 3 so far, I think, on this list. So even though this video isn't sponsored by anyone, I did want to give a shout out to our friends over at turbovinyl.com. If you're looking for insanely high quality vinyl stickers that are going to stay up in all weather, they're a great option, and they will print your custom sticker designs for graffiti artists. I've linked their website in the description for you guys, and if you order from them through my link or just by putting the code SCIZ in at checkout, you get 10% off your whole order. That's a kind of discount code that I have for them, which helps me out if you do purchase from their site. So it's a win for you and a win for me, so thank you for that. So moving on to number 7 here. Okay, the Grog squeezers. Now, I personally really like the Grog full metal paint formula, and I really like the mini sizes of the Grog. The one they have in the picture there is the 20mm nib size, which actually, fun fact, you can only get the 20mm in their mini size. I have a really old one here, the label's not on it anymore and it's dried out. But these are the 3 kind of mini sizes there. I really like their full metal paint formula. I like the thickness of it, the 3-dimensionality of the drips you can get with it. It all looks super nice. In our review of every single size Grog squeezer, over 90,000 people saw us do our tagging test there. The only things I do want to emphasize are cons about the Grog squeezers I've found. You would think nibs are standard, but for some reason I found the Grog nibs to be among the worst I've used. Also, something else, specifically the warm colors such as yellow, red, orange, seem to have some transparency problems. All their other colors, purples, pinks, blues, greens, totally opaque, really, really nice. It's just those warm colors that have a few issues sometimes. So honestly, 4 out of 4. I think this is a great choice. These ones were on my list of the top 5 mini mops, I believe. Moving on, number 6. Okay, Pilot Jumbo Markers. Pilot Jumbo Markers are known for bold lines, large ink capacity, extremely iconic as Pilot was never a graffiti brand. Okay, true. Cons, limited color options. That's kind of the only real relevant con that's on that list. Now, I have used the Pilot Supercolor broad markers here. Now these ones are the mini body size. A couple notes about them: they are a very cheap supply, which is nice. I appreciate a good graffiti supply that is not charging an arm and a leg for it. The nibs on these guys, now they have these kind of broad angled chisel tip nibs. Very, very similar nib to the Magic Ink Glass bodies, actually. The nibs are themselves quite soft as well, which is nice because then you don't necessarily have to hold the marker quite at that same rigid angle compared to the surface to get those nice complete lines. So I think that's why myself and probably a lot of other graph writers like you guys maybe enjoy softer nibs. Let me know if that's true or not. If we're talking top 10 all time, I have trouble subscribing to that rhetoric, but I did put this in our top 5 list of cheap graffiti markers and mops, so I guess I can't be too much of a hypocrite on that front. But although it is a nice cheap supply, I am gonna have to give it an X for this list. I just don't think it's top 10 all-time material. Okay, number 5, moving on. Oh, I see. The Krink K60. Okay. Krink markers are popular for their high quality inks and paints and classic design that led the industry in terms of being high quality. Once started as a humble DIY product, Krink has quickly become a household name in not only graffiti, but the art world in general. Krink K60's most popular choice amongst writers for nice drippy mop tags. I don't know if that's true. High quality formulae is what they mean there. Cons. Yeah, expensive. Cotton nibs are prone to tearing. I'll be honest, the nibs on Krink markers I've actually found to be better than almost any other nibs out there. Don't know why, but that's just my luck, I guess. But yeah, look, I know Krink polarizes people a little bit sometimes. I would love to get your guys' take in the comments with what you think of the description of the Krink brand there. Where do you think the Krink brand is right now in terms of their credibility? That would be something I would love to hear your guys' opinion on. I mean, look, between what I said in our top 5 worst graffiti supplies video, which you'll just have to check out over there if you want to see that, and also what I said when we did our investigation about how Krink actually makes a lot of their money off of graffiti artists, I can't put this in the top 10 of a list like this. Personally, for me, it's just so much money for a very standard graffiti product. Don't get me wrong, I actually really like their paint formula itself, and I do find the mops nice and squeezable. There's nothing particularly wrong with this style mop, but come on guys, 20 bucks for a mop? What's going on here? So that's a miss in my opinion, so they're 4 for 6 now. Moving on, number 4. Ooh, okay, the Mark I'll Be paint sticks. I like that they have the old sleeve on there, the classic sleeve. Let's see what they have to say. The Mark I'll Be paint stick is another solid paint stick ideal for tough surfaces. Yeah, originally made for heavy industrial applications, metal, shipbuilding, automotive, lumber. Okay. Markers designed for abuse, bad weather, weird temperatures, and unpredictable surfaces, which makes it perfect for graffiti. All very, very true. Similar to the Sakura solid streakers, kind of yes and no. Ideal for tough surfaces, durable and weather resistant, absolutely. Cheap, yep. Can be messy, that is absolutely true. You generally don't want to have them in your pocket unless it's ground down so that the whole sleeve covers it. All of that seems pretty true. I do want to add though that this is actually one of a few particular graffiti supplies that is actually cheaper to buy from not a graffiti site rather than from a graffiti site. I have a link in the description to where you can pick up a bulk pack of 12 Markals for a lot cheaper than you will see on any graffiti site. And honestly, they go pretty fast if you're using them in a freight environment. As a freight head, I have a soft spot for these, you guys know that. So it's always good to buy them in bulk, in my opinion. So if that's useful, check that link out. But I think this is a solid choice, no pun intended, for the list. So 5 for 7. Next up, number 3. Okay, Molotov One for All series. They're not specifying which ones, they're just saying the One for All series here. And what do they have to say? The Molotov One for All series is known for its versatility and high quality acrylic paint. Lots of sizes to choose from, they're saying. Acrylic paint, water-based and UV resistant. Mixable colors, that's an interesting thing they're emphasizing about them. Cons, can be pricey, easy to buff and remove. Yeah, I think the easy to remove is kind of telling about these. I picture Molotov One for Alls as more of a canvas tool than anything else, personally. That's not to say the quality isn't there. I've used the Molotov One for Alls specifically in this size, which is like the 4mm and the 2mm size for a long time in like even my black book work. You know what, for example, I'll show you one right now. Here's a sketch I did recently, ScizM. The gold here in this sketch is actually a Molotov One for All in the 2mm size. I just want to show this because you can see how much it pops. So it's not that the quality isn't there, it's just I really picture this as more of a tool for graffiti artists rather than specifically graffiti writers who are hardcore out on the street putting their name up. So it's just really about what kind of graffiti artist are you, if you have a super relevant use for these or not. But as far as Molotov goes, I can't really discredit the company. Like, their company is a big part of the graffiti world in general. So although it wouldn't be anywhere near on the top 10 of my personal top 10 list, I can't really say it shouldn't be on there, I guess. I don't know if this is a numerically ordered list, but it sure as hell should not be anywhere near number 3. Number 2, what do we got? Uni PX30s. Now that's a good call, honestly. Uni PX30 offers bold, consistent lines with oil-based ink. By that they mean oil-based paint, but okay. 8mm wide. It's an angled chisel tip, very standard, so I would call that a 7mm. Allows for great calligraphy styles as long as you know how to do script writing and that kind of thing. Oil-based ink, again they mean oil-based paint, and down here they call it oil-based paint. So it does say many choose to flare the nib out. That's an interesting inclusion. I don't understand people's huge obsession with that necessarily, but I do get that the nibs personally to me feel nicer to write with when they are all flared out like that. But the things I want to emphasize about this, the oil-based paint formula. Oil-based is what you want for cutting through grease, grime on dirty surfaces, anything like that. Wet surfaces, oil-based paint does better. I do find it interesting that even on the cons list, they do say uni paint doesn't fill these as much as they could. If you want to see exactly just how empty one of these beautiful PX30 silvers comes with, like how much paint it comes with, check out the video where we did our full surface tagging test there. You will be surprised at just how empty these come. But, you know, between the metal body, the near perfect valve system, and the gorgeous, gorgeous silver paint formula, PX30 silvers in particular are a super fun one for sure. You can check out the video in the corner or description to see the full tagging test and hear my one big criticism of these. Number 1, what's it gonna be? Okay, the Sakura solid markers. I should have seen it coming, I guess. I don't know. Let's see what they have to say. Sakura solid marker, aka the streaker, is renowned for its versatility and durability. Unlike other markers that use cotton nibs, okay, we know how they work. Staple amongst North American writers, I would say more than North American writers, particularly freight train writers, since these hold up to the environment for decades, making it the perfect tool for tagging freight. Pretty true, yeah. Features solidified paint, weather resistance, yep. Twist mechanism's nice when it works. Diversity of surfaces, yeah, that's a pro. Yeah, okay. I've always found it a little bit ironic how much so many graffiti writers love these Sakura streakers, given how obsessed a lot of us are with permanence. Just because if you write on like an actual smooth surface with a Sakura streaker, it can wipe right off. Sakuras thrive on having that little bit of texture on your surface so that it can really stick to that extra surface area, and that's really how the permanence of them works. Now, because of that stickiness, the actual application to me feels a little bit worse than with, say, Markals. It's a personal preference, don't get me wrong, but it's definitely a good choice. So we'll give them a check mark for that one, and that's a solid 8 out of 10 there for that list. I do want to say I'm a little surprised they didn't have the Pentel Shorty White on there, a couple other things as well. You can definitely tell the list is designed to, you know, promote sales that they can specifically deliver on, but a list is a list. I think the 8 of these that we gave check marks on are good choices overall, but not what I would have on my top 10 list necessarily. If you do want to see a completely unbiased list of all the graffiti markers out there, we made a list ranking every single graffiti marker out there from D tier to God tier. So you can click that video on screen right now if you do want to check that out. I just want to say a big thank you as always to those of you in the Patreon crew over there getting all the exclusive content on the Patreon. And if you were in the market for those vinyl stickers, don't forget to check out Turbo Vinyl. I'll see you in that video soon. Till then, peace.